The Minnesota Frost have been a long time gone. Now back in the friendly confines of the XL Energy Center in downtown St. Paul. First home game in over a month, and they need points as they continue their playoff push against first place Montreal. Abby Boreen and the Victoire can wrap up a playoff berth with a win tonight. But you know Taylor Heise and the Minnesota Frost are rested and ready to go. Maddie Rooney, the starting goaltender for Minnesota, is tied for third in the league with 8 wins, with just 1 victory in her last 4 starts. And again, Minnesota needs points. She needs to be solid tonight. We talked about Elaine Chuli getting the start for Montreal. And Renee Desbiens has a leg injury suffered 8 days ago. They think that there's a chance that she will come back soon. We don't know the severity of the injury. We're kind of keeping it tight to the vest. So here we go. We're underway in St. Paul, Minnesota, in their purple sweaters. Sand-colored uniforms for Montreal in first place. And it is crunch time. Each team with a couple of games before the international break. The league will shut down after April 2nd. Each team will have 3 games after the World Championships. Long shot. That whistles wide of the cage. Minnesota trying to sustain some early pressure. They can. It comes back out to center and back to the Minnesota zone. What do you expect here early, Alexis?
Well, I think both teams need to come out hot for different reasons. Minnesota, their scoring struggles have been very apparent as of late. Yeah, speaking of scoring, she's on a 4-game goal streak, or 4-game point streak, 2 goals and 2 assists in that time. She scored her first career goal against Montreal at the end of December. So this is somebody they're going to look to keep going, and Coach Ken Klee has really liked what she's been able to do as a rookie this season. He describes her as a pain in the you-know-what to play against, and he loves what she brings to the table.
She is big and physical down in front of opposing nets. Shot back out to center ice. Minnesota quickly swings it back in. And this is Ambrose in behind Chuli to survey the situation. Erin Ambrose, terrific defender, will play for Team Canada again in the World Championships. She has the most points in the league for anybody without a goal. No goals on the season, but has contributed in so many ways. Comes into tonight with 12 assists.
And that's tied for first on the team. And Coach Chevry talked about just how much she can facilitate and how good she is defensively. Compared her a little bit to Lee Steckline, which is always a great compliment, and really likes what she brings to the table.
Here's Minnesota breaking it out, back to neutral ice. Kicked around, back to the Montreal line. And now picked off, and the Victoire will start it back. It's going to miss a stick and roll in deep. And that's going to be an icing call on Montreal. Again, they can clinch a playoff spot.
And Desbiens was a big reason that game ended in Montreal's favor. Minnesota played really well in that game, and Desbiens just continued to slam the door. So Minnesota facing a new goaltender here tonight after that loss to Montreal, hoping they can have a better result.
Difficult situation for any goaltender to go into, but following probably the best goaltender in the world right now, and Renee Desbiens. That's daunting. You know, it's good for Montreal that they've got some wiggle room here late in the year.
Yeah, I was just going to say that it helps the situation a bit when you're going in the nets for a team that's playing really well.
Turned over out in front. Sophie Jakes, the defender, trying to make a move for the cage. She was rubbed out of the play. And now here's Panic. She took a shot through a screen. It was deflected wide. And that's the thing for Panic. Just keep shooting. That's what Ken Klee's message has been during this drought. Coming up on 3 minutes into the first period. Still officially no shots on goal. Rolls into the corner. Jumping on it there is Panic. She tried to turn it toward the middle, but Grant Mentis slides it out. It's going to bounce back into the Minnesota end, and here is Sophie Jakes. They need her offense from the blue line. That's for sure. Minnesota has received 4 points in the last 4 games from Sophie. Lee Steckline tried to move it out in front of the benches. And Zumwinkle will pound it in from center ice. Line change for the Frost. And now again, turned over on front. Coyne Schofield fanned out a shot. Came right to her tape, but couldn't get it off.
Yeah, great back check there by, I believe that was Dubois, who was able to break up the play. Minnesota's forced a couple turnovers now in Montreal's end early. Good start for the Frost. They've spent most of it in Montreal's territory.
Here's the great Laura Stacey out to neutral ice. Had a poke checked away. And now Kayla Barnes in there to support the puck. She'll take it wide on the far wing. Rolls off her stick. Poulin was there, but she couldn't get it. Now back high in the slot, loose. O'Neill tries to keep it alive for Montreal, and they're going to also make a line change here as they fire it in behind the Minnesota net. One other game tonight, Toronto at Boston at Agganis Arena in Boston. Toronto back to full strength now. Sarah Nurse, Natalie Spooner, both healthy. We've hardly been able to say that this year for Toronto, so look out for the Scepters here late in the season.
Yeah, they started the season not well and have really found a way to turn it around, due in part to the health of Spooner and Nurse.
Well, we've got a crash into the net. Face-off out in front of Chuli, coming up on the 5-minute mark of the first period. Off that draw, it was pushed up against the boards. Digging it free is Montreal, and it's Katie Tabin leading the charge, the former star at Quinnipiac.
And our crew noticing that Shishova went down the tunnel, so we'll keep our eyes peeled on that. Hopefully she's not missing from the bench for long.
Denisa Shishova, she's going to be a part of the Czech national team at the World Championships, which are in Czechia in April. She had a 2-goal game at Montreal on February the 18th. Minnesota certainly has had its share of injuries this year. Don't want to lose her. That one right on. Maddie Rooney equal to the task. Off the draw, Stacey, a quick fire to the net. And it's turned away by Rooney.
Nice quick shot off the face-off there. Not a lot of shots on net through the first 6 minutes of this period. Nice quick look there.
Boy, that was a snappy wrister. Now look out for Poulin. Marie-Philippe Poulin makes it 1-0 Victoire. And you talk about quick shots.
Just like that, the Victoire are first on the board.
Yeah, that's good on good right there. Poulin and Steckline. That's a heavyweight bout. And just because Poulin won it this time doesn't mean Lee Steckline isn't one of the best defenders in this league, in fact, in the world. And nobody closes down time and space better than Lee Steckline, but Poulin is on top of her game right now.
Yeah, we'll see a lot of that battle here tonight.
And Dalton brought it in. That goes through the blue paint in front of Rooney again.
And Montreal, only one regulation loss this season when scoring that first goal. So great start here on the road for this Montreal team.
Claire Dalton tries to advance it and decides to throw it into the Minnesota end. Corey Chevry calls Dalton one of the unsung workers on this Montreal roster, the former Yale captain out of Toronto. And again, Montreal will fire it in, cross-angle dump. Minnesota had the early pressure, just couldn't capitalize on it. In fact, really didn't get any shots on in those first few minutes. And then some daylight for Poulin, and here they have the 1-0 lead.
Yeah, just the one shot registered to Minnesota right now through a little over 7 minutes of action. But that's what a really good player will do to you, Clay. Just one opportunity is all it takes for a player like that to score a goal. Montreal on the board first.
They call her Captain Clutch, not just in Canada, but around the world. And she gets the first one tonight in Minnesota.
Celebrating that over at Ritter Arena, just about 15 minutes from where we sit right here. A magical weekend of college hockey, and what fun for the Johnson family, guys.
No doubt about it. You know, I don't know that he would answer to Chris. Everyone around the team, everyone around the building calls him Critter.
I didn't even know his first name when I first met him. I just knew him as Critter.
Boy, what a Goliath Mark Johnson has built in Madison. 8 national titles. Out in front of the Montreal net, Barnes is going to skate it up ahead, and Montreal's able to clear as they'll come back into the Minnesota zone on side. Long shot. Stacey trying to get that one through a screen. Couldn't do it. On top of that, Badgers forward Casey O'Brien won the Patty Kazmaier Award this year. So what a weekend.
Well, in
Wisconsin hockey.
Our hometown Gophers lost to them in the semifinal matchup. I was pulling for the Gophers, but tough matchup against the one-seeded Wisconsin, and what a team they had this year.
Maybe a chance for Minnesota. Zumwinkle trying to get around the defense there. Boulier. Amanda Boulier holding her ground, the 31-year-old vet out of Watertown, Connecticut. Now Thompson will keep it in deep for Minnesota. Claire Thompson, 17 points. That's third among defenders in the PWHL. Mariah Keppel muscles this one in deep for Montreal as they try to get some offense going out in front of Rooney again, leading 1-0.
Minnesota's still looking for that second shot on net. Their only shot came early in the period and haven't been able to generate much since.
Well, good pass down low, and Budarak and it roll right behind her.
And great play by Aaron Ambrose to mute that opportunity. Was able to stick with the play.
And now Ambrose stapling Budarak up against the wall in the corner. Comes to the line, not out. Minnesota gets another shot on, but just their second of the game. Now Coyne Schofield down to Budarak, and that was poked off a stick. Here comes Grant Mentis back now for Montreal. Takes it to the middle. That was broken up. Blocked out in front. These teams still looking to complete, you know, a couple of passes in a row. So many sticks in the passing lanes tonight for both sides. We're going to get a whistle.
Montreal Victoire player there. She went down the tunnel for a moment, is back on the bench, and was getting checked out on the bench by one of the trainers. Always good when they're at least still on the bench.
Grant Mentis falling down, got enough lift on it to bring it to the length of the ice, but it's going to be an icing call again on Montreal.
And a little bit of time to work on their structure, he said. And once you can work on the structure, hopefully that means translating on the ice and generating more opportunities. He thought that might be the key to fixing the scoring drought that they've had here as of late.
He knew when he looked at the season schedule that there was going to be a 36-day stretch where they didn't have a home game. And that practicing and, you know, working on things in familiar territory was going to be hard to come by. But once you get out there and have to deal with it, you realize just how challenging that is. Kava got a shot on, and Chuli was equal to the task. Kava celebrating her 31st birthday today. And Kava's had a nice year. Second on the team with 9 goals. She has 3 of them on the power play. Here's Steckline now. Steckline, top of the circle. Good pass down low to Petrie. But again, couldn't tip it on.
Yeah, the finish just isn't there for Minnesota right now. They've had some decent zone entries and opportunities, but not getting enough pucks on net.
Natalie Bookbinder battling there with Grant Mentis. Minnesota pops it free. Britta Curl doing a little stick handling there at center ice. Carries in. Britta Curl, rookie out of Wisconsin, happy about her Badgers, that's for sure. Caitlin Willoughby now at center. Now turn back over to Minnesota. Channel trying to center for the Frost. That's broken up. And now Dara Gregg, the New Jersey native, an extra skater tonight. Plays across ice for Laura Stacey. Stacey for Ambrose. Out in front. Gregg again had her shot muffled.
Great defense by Minnesota. It was looking like that was going to be a dangerous opportunity for Montreal, trying to make it 2-0, but Minnesota able to recover and clear the puck out.
Now a turnover. Minnesota hoping to take advantage of it. One-timer down low, Shepers. And Julie with a point-blank save.
Shepers looking for her second goal of the season. Great setup, and off another Montreal turnover, Clay. We've seen about 3 or 4 of them in the defensive zone for Montreal so far today. Minnesota's still trying to capitalize on one.
Well, Montreal can wrap up a playoff spot with a win tonight. Out to a good start. Under 8 minutes to go in the first, leading 1-0. Yeah, Corey Chevry, of course, she's one of the assistants for Team Canada. Troy Ryan, the Toronto Raptors head coach, will lead Team Canada, and Poulin will be the captain on the ice again for the Canadians in Czechia. And boy, is she really a great leader in these international tournaments. We know what she has done against the United States over the years, and I know she is geared up for another great World Championship.
She's just great at every stage, every game. I mean, she's the kind of player who never takes a night off. She always brings that same intensity and same skill level night in, night out.
The drop back blocker save there on Maureen Murphy's wrist shot. Corey Chevry talking about Murphy, waiting for her to just break out. Murphy, 3 goals, 4 assists on the year. Here's Curl stepping in over the line. In the circle trying to play a pass down low for Shisha, but good to see her back on the ice. Steckline, her drive knocked down. And Barnes will lift it back to the Minnesota line. On the reach there of Petrie. Petrie still managed to get it on. Rebound comes back out. Minnesota will try again. Here's Steckline, high wrist shot. Goes off the glass.
What an effort by Petrie just to keep that play alive. She is like a dog on a bone out there sometimes. She works so hard, and this entire sequence is because she stayed on that puck to keep it down low.
Of course, she had her first 3 career games be successful ones where she had a goal in each, but then missed a couple of months with an injury. So she just seems to be rounding back into form now, and we're going to have our first penalty, an interference call that's going to put Montreal on the power play.
Minnesota penalty number 3, 2 minutes, interference.
Now, Brooke McQuigg, we talked about her physical nature, a little too physical here. She's going to get the gate for 2 minutes. Royale Tiger Towel Power Play. Power Play brought to you by Royale Tiger Towel. Power through tough messes. And it's a power play for Montreal that, on balance, has struggled this year. But they've scored a power play goal in each of the last 3 games. So Corey Chevry pleased with how that is starting to round into shape.
Well, and aside from that, Coach Chevry feels that they've generated a lot of chances. The stats show that. And she's pleased that finally the puck is going in.
Stacey off for Ambrose. Ambrose will play it across for Kayla Barnes. Top of the circle. Poulin got it back on her stick. Here's Barnes again. The Corona, California native. Barnes is going to be on Team USA. Here's Barnes again. Across for Poulin. Barnes looking for a lane. Broken up. Good block there. Might Liz Shepers with that long stick. Already a minute gone on this first advantage of the game. Down low, Ambrose. Back up top, Kayla Barnes continues to look for an angle. Across, Poulin, wrister broken up by Grace Zumwinkle.
Yeah, Minnesota's kept it to the perimeter for now.
Barnes again, a little daylight. Shot, heavy rebound off that glass. And nobody there for Montreal to jam it home.
Well, Minnesota had their box set up nice there. They were keeping everything to the outside. Montreal was cycling the puck around the top of the zone there and just couldn't get anything through to the net. And already just about 20 seconds remaining here on our first power play of the night.
Minnesota, the least penalized team in the league. They've taken the first penalty here tonight. Just 10 seconds remaining on this first power play of the game. They wrap the boards, held in on the near point. That's Anna Wildren for Tabin, and that's going to do it. Back into the action is McQuigg, and she intercepts. And it's a 2-on-2 back the other way for Minnesota. Coyne Schofield streaking toward the front. But McQuigg couldn't get to it in time.
McQuigg a little too fast, a little too excited coming out of the box there looking for an opportunity.
Look out, here comes Abby Boreen, the former Frost player, trying to set a teammate up down low. Failed to click to Kristen O'Neill. And this is going to roll back into the Montreal end. 3:40 to play here in the opening period. Shots 5-4 now in favor of Minnesota, thanks to some increased pressure here a little bit as of late, but nothing on the board as Montreal leads it. O'Neill will swing it in. Rolls all the way around to the near side. Grant Mentis lays it down in the corner. O'Neill trying to get it back for Barnes at the point. And here's Caitlin Willoughby. And her pass to Barnes missed. Willoughby traded from Toronto for Anna Sheldon. And that was the only deal right before the trade deadline in the entire league. Backhander from Barnes. Thrown out in the front. And Barnes again missed the net. Wide of that far post. Derek Gregg tried to turn it toward the middle, but that pass missed. Goes all the way back to the Montreal blue line.
Well, ever since that penalty Minnesota took, Montreal's been able to maintain some pressure here. Minnesota needs to try to get something going late in this period if they want to tie it up before we hit our first break.
Good outlet pass for Thompson. Little room there. And save again by Chuli as Shisheva was bearing down. Here's Laura Stacey again. Leads the league with 93 shots on goal coming into this game. Has an assist here tonight on Poulin's goal. Boulier tried to move it along. And now Minnesota will settle it down at center ice. Derek Gregg has also left the bench area for the Victoire. Don't know if it's an injury or just something equipment related, but she went down the tunnel. Shisheva left earlier for Minnesota, but she's been back on the ice. Broken up by Boulier. Rolls off to the far wing side. Now Budarak trying to keep it alive for the Frost with 1.5 minutes to go in the period. Fluttering puck at the checkered line. It comes to Lee Steckline. Closing in on 600 minutes of ice time this year for Lee. Now Panic. That'll deflect off a skate. Montreal trying to break out here with just over 1 minute to go. Murphy, former Northeastern Husky, fires it in on a backhand. But picked up quickly by Minnesota. 50 seconds to go in the period. Boreen had it momentarily. Now Panic has it for the Frost. Plays a pass for Mae Batherson, the defender from Nova Scotia. He's going to roll in on Chuli. And with 41 seconds to go in the period, shot blocked by Dalton. Claire Dalton, Toronto native, got her body in front of that blast. 1/2 minute to go in the period. Kava hands off for Heisey. Pass in the slot. Thompson tried to send it on. That was kicked away. Now Kava drops it back here for Coyne Schofield. Minnesota trying to get something going here late in the period.
A little bit of a miscue there. Thompson trying to cross the zone with it. They turn it over.
Rooney's going to come way out of the net. Tries to feed it to the wall. 4 seconds to go in the period.
That would have been
almost caught out of position.
Yeah. Good scramble to get back in the net, though, to try to recover. That would have been a backbreaker to give up a goal like that in the final seconds of the period when you're already down a goal. Thankfully, though, she's got a smile on her face there. You can see Thompson trying to chase this puck down. Kava's in there, and then Rooney turns it over to Abby Barine. They know each other well. And Barine almost makes Rooney pay for it. Good job by Thompson, though, to get back as well to try to cover for Rooney as she was scrambling back. So Minnesota avoids some problems there in the final few seconds. And the goal by Boulan gives the Victoire their 1-0 lead heading into the first intermission. Minnesota's thank you card to the New York Sirens is in the mail as we speak, because Ottawa would have climbed into that final spot in the playoffs if they would have won that game last night, pending what happens here today. But big loss for Ottawa, and huge for Minnesota that they didn't come out on the winning side of that one. But Minnesota needs to take care of their own business, so they need to find a way to get back into this one and to clean things up here tonight against Montreal.
Turned over right out in front of Rooney, and she's able to scoop it up as Stacy was lurking.
They can make it into the playoffs, who believes.
Oh, there's another rebound for Stacy. And Laura jams it in to make it 2-0.
Minnesota wins this faceoff, but then turns it over as they're trying to regroup off the faceoff. And right out front, great play there by O'Neill to dig that puck loose, and Rooney's trying to tie up that post, and then all of a sudden it pops out on the far side, and Steckline kind of bit the dust there on the side of the net and just wasn't able to square up next to Stacy and box out, which is why Stacy was able to get a clean look. So Steckline has eaten 2 minuses here so far in this one. Boulan blows past her for the first goal, and Stacy able to work past her for the second goal. And Montreal now has a 2-0 lead.
24 seconds in. Stacy, her 9th of the year. It comes from Kristen O'Neill, who now has 5 points on the season. The Oakville, Ontario native, who is also going to be a part of Team Canada.
And for whatever reason, second periods are Montreal's best periods. They have double the amount of goals in the second period than they do in either the first or the third period. So this is where they like to make their hay.
Nice dance by Kava to get a shot off. Missed the net, rebound, shot. That was from Heisey. It was deflected out in front, and now Coyne Schofield will try again for Minnesota.
A response here by the Frost.
Batherson, long drive. I don't know that Julie saw it. Goes over the top of the crossbar. Now chopped at along the far wall, and Montreal will skate it free back out to center ice. Boy, a 2-on-1 if they would have hurried. It was slow to develop, and now Minnesota has it with Channel Watkins bringing it back the other way. There's a Channel, gets it ahead. Here's Curl, down low. Petrie sent one wide.
Nice little feed by Curl up to Petrie. Minnesota, a couple good response shifts here after giving up that second goal.
Dominique looking for her 4th goal of the year. As Minnesota's trying to answer now, down 2 goals. Past the 2-minute mark of period number 2. Again, Montreal has lost 3 in a row, and you know, pucks not bouncing their way in those 3 one-goal losses. A little better luck so far tonight for the Victoire, that's for sure. And another bouncing puck down low in the blue paint through the crease. That was Grant Mentis with that backhander.
Yeah, tough tip there for Rooney to try to read, and she's able to recover, get a pad on it, but then you saw her scrambling there trying to get herself repositioned, and Minnesota able to clear it out.
Natalie Bookbinder, a lead pass out of the reach of Budarak, and this is going to be an icing call against Minnesota. Now the thing for Montreal, it has been secondary scoring. They have been getting the goals from the players that have scored here tonight, the Poulans, the Stacys. You know, it's the secondary players that sometimes Corey Chevry has been searching to get more offense from. We'll see if they can contribute here tonight and keep the foot on the gas.
Well, that was a problem for them last year, too, and a big reason I think they ran out of steam in the playoffs. Depth is such a huge part of the game, and when you lack the depth, or at least lack the production in depth scoring, it can be tough to make a long run. But of course, you need the stars as well, so there's a little give and take there, and the stars are definitely pulling their weight for this Montreal team. It's done well for them so far, and if they could just add that supplemental scoring, this will be a really, really tough team to stop. Grace Zumwinkle, we've talked about a lot on the broadcast as of late, finally got that first goal after coming back from injury, but they're going to need her to do even more if Minnesota wants to hang around in this playoff picture, so they're looking to get some of these players going here.
Now, Zumwinkle scored Minnesota's only goal against New York in Detroit in the takeover game. That was her first in 13 games, but she was coming off missing 8 games in January and February. Down low, there is Panic. Holy cow, what timing. We just talked about her. Her ears were itching, and she gets her first one in a long time to cut Montreal's lead in half.
Well, there you go. A player you needed to get on the score sheet finally does. A battle along the wall. Zumwinkle from down low feeds it out front, and Panic didn't really have a clean look. I mean, it's a backhander, doesn't really get everything on it, just pushes it towards the net. That's all it took, able to beat it past the pad of Elaine Julie, and Minnesota able to cut this lead in half. By the time the supplemental defense came in to try to break that play down, Panic had already gotten the shot off. So good response here by Minnesota to at least get some confidence back by getting that first goal of the night.
First goal in 21 games for Kelly. First point in 7 games.
She's also one of those players who you know is a leader in the locker room as well. Somebody who I'm sure the young players look up to. She's been around, and she knows how to get through the tough points of the season. So you know she's a valuable piece of this team. Just nice to see her finally get on the scoreboard again. And McQuigg extends her point streak now to 5 games in a row with the assist on that goal.
Zumwinkle and McQuigg at 4:09 on the goal by Panic. Now we'll see how Montreal responds. Bookbinder takes it away at the Minnesota line, feeds a pass ahead. Here comes Kava, tried to center, and that's broken up on the back check. That was Anna Wilgren, the Hudson, Wisconsin native. Now here's Claire DeGeorge attacking. Bounces off the back of the net. Claire DeGeorge, product of Bemidji State, 4th line center. Held in at the point. DeGeorge again on the backhand, gets it off to Dubois. Dubois plays it to the point. Holding here, Ambrose got it through, but it missed the net. Kept it low to the ice. Britta Curl jumps on the loose puck. She skates it free for Minnesota. Now Heisey from center will send it in. Ambrose the first one there for Montreal. 14:15 to go, second period. Minnesota has its first of the game, making it 2-1. After Stacy made it 2-0 earlier in the period, just 24 seconds in. Batherson will chase it down at the half wall, rolls it in along the kick plate, off to the near wing side. Minnesota can't hold it, as Budarak has to regroup at center. And neither team has had a lot of sustained pressure tonight.
Now, it's been a lot of one and dones, and we haven't seen any really long sequences of opportunity after opportunity. It's been pretty even pace. I mean, even the shots on goal and the score reflects that about halfway through this matchup here tonight.
Budarak wheels into the zone, takes it right to the middle. Rolled off her stick. Swung across here to Sophie Jakes. The defender from Ohio State, former Patty Cavs winner, keeps it in deep for the Minnesota Frost.
You can see that goal injected some confidence into this Frost lineup, skating with a little more purpose here after getting that first goal of the night.
Here's Budarak attacking side of the cage, flipped it out in front, nobody there for Minnesota. And then Youngbloom brings it back the other way, the former Swedish Olympian. You know, it's a game that's been pretty free-flowing. We haven't had a ton of stoppages, just the one penalty that came at the midway point of the first period against McQuigg. And it was a quiet power play for Montreal. It's been pretty whistle-free. Now, as I say that, you know what's going to happen. Here's Zumwinkle through the logo at center. She'll take it there to the far side. Zumwinkle on the backhand, lost it. McQuigg will support the puck for Minnesota. Zumwinkle from the corner to Bookbinder, fanned on it, and nearly turned it over to Claire Dalton.
Well, she was lining that one up in her sights and just couldn't fire the shot off.
Grant Mentis through a screen, bouncing puck out in front. Rooney searching for it. Minnesota's able to shoot it out of the zone.
Oh, that was scary. That's a tough spot for a goaltender to be in. Right at the top of your crease, trying to battle for the position. That puck is falling down.
Another turnover out in front, and that one whistles wide for Jen Gardner. Gardner in the Rookie of the Year conversation. We know that Sarah Fillier is probably going to win that award unanimously, but Gardner has had a really nice year, and she's dangerous that close to the net.
Yeah, she is, and one of the top assisters on this Montreal roster. Almost had a goal there on that one.
Couple of goals here in the second period. Laura Stacey for Montreal and Kelly Panic for Minnesota. 2-1 Victoire.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see who ends up getting the ice there in those games here coming up in about a week or so here. So tough to see two really, really solid goaltenders go down. Not only the impact it has on the PWHL, but not getting a chance potentially to play for your country, which is what everybody dreams of.
And Renee Desbiens, they don't think it's going to end her season, but unavailable tonight. That's why Elaine Shuley is getting the start out of Waterford, Ontario. Her second straight start. She's 3-4 on the season, and right now has the lead on Minnesota. Heisey came in. Minnesota was offside, but Montreal intercepts anyway. Here's Gardner again. Top of the circle, moving in. Good save there by Rooney. She couldn't corral the rebound.
Great challenge by Rooney. She was way out at the top of the paint there. That top line for Montreal threatening on the odd skater rush, and Rooney able to make the save.
Only 2 games that Rooney hasn't started since mid-February. She has essentially moved ahead of Nicole Hensley, who has had an up-and-down year for the Minnesota Frost.
Yeah, last season, Coach Klee pretty much did, a tandem for goaltending, just swapped back and forth pretty frequently. And this season, it's definitely been a little bit more Maddie Rooney's net than it has been Nicole Hensley's. We'll see if that changes at all throughout the final few games of the season.
Heisey on a backhand, got a shot on, save, and it's cleared to the far wing corner.
Petrie was swinging away in front of the net, and the puck just would not sit still for her. She's been having a really good game, Petrie has. I wouldn't be surprised if she gets on the score sheet before this one's over, but
another face-off win for Kelly Panic. Long drive, Zumwinkle. I think Kent would love to see them score 5 and just break out of this little slump that they're in.
Yeah, well, they had that happen against Ottawa earlier in the month, and we thought that was maybe the start of something good, and then they went right back to their scoring woes. So hopefully that can change here tonight. They're going to need a lot more than one to make that happen, though.
Lucy out in front, McQuigg had it blocked. Defender stepped in the way. Kelly Panic recovers it for Minnesota. Thompson gets it on. Julie the save and gets her catching mitt down quickly. No rebound. Julie taken in her 13th round, 78th overall. One of the last players taken in that initial PWHL draft in 23. On a big stage now. It's her net for a little bit. And a 2-on-1 down low, but Montreal couldn't get a shot on. Again, Anne-Renee Desbiens nursing an injury. Steckline tried to clear it out for the Frost. Victoire keeping the pressure on. And now Minnesota gains control. Heisey has Coyne Schofield, a drive from the mid-slot. And it's stopped again by Julie. Lee Steckline back with Team USA for the World Championships after not competing recently. And Team USA was elated to see that she accepted that invitation. Arguably the best defender in this league. Defensive defender.
Yeah. Old school.
Yep.
I mean, if you've got a chance to jump somebody, you'd rather not have those points probably split up and rather just have Toronto take them all. I mean, this is the time of year where we really got to pull up the calculators and figure out what's going to be the most beneficial for everybody, but Montreal would probably prefer Toronto loses that game so that they can have some separation.
And a reminder, Montreal leading the league, and with a win of any kind tonight, 3 or 2 points, they will lock up a playoff berth. Not that that was really in doubt here in recent weeks. Alongside Alexis Pearson, I play Matthew Kevin Gord working ringside tonight here in St. Paul. 2-1, Montreal leading with just over 8 minutes to go in the second period.
We talked about that clinching scenario for Montreal, and you just don't want to worry about it. Let everyone else battle it out below you and know that at the very least you've got your spot locked up and you can just focus on the basics of hockey, tightening everything up that you want to so that you can be your best team when those playoffs arrive.
Postseason was so exciting as this game has slowed down to a crawl. Another one gets up on a play.
And I don't doubt that season 2 playoff hockey is going to be any different.
Off the draw, Steckline shot deflected up off the stick up off the glass. Or Stacy gets to it, tees it up out of the zone. Steckline circles back, pass ahead to Curl just out of her reach. And Minnesota's offside at the blue line. Petrie trying to play it there. The Patty Kazmaier Award, which goes to the top college player in women's hockey in the United States. And we were talking about the Wisconsin Badgers, who won their 8th national championship on Sunday, defeating Ohio State. A lot of big news in U.S. college hockey, but congratulations to Bishop's University, the women's national champs in Canada. 3-0 wins over Waterloo on Sunday. College hockey continues to grow, and the women's game will only go on hyperspeed as far as growth in the next several years because of the PWHL.
Absolutely. With this on the horizon, anything is possible for those college players. Wilgren,
long drive, knocked down in the circle. Karams to the corner, jumping out of there is Youngbloom. Lena Youngbloom, good stick handling, throws it right in front of Rooney's face. Got that pass elevated. Now Minnesota trying to come back the other way. Zumwinkle had to retreat back for it. Pounded back in.
McQuaig was in a tough spot there along the wall and just wanted to dish that puck off, but Zumwinkle was behind her, so the pass was not executed cleanly. And Montreal able to avoid the rush by Minnesota there.
Mariah Keppel from Menominee, Wisconsin. Her last goal came against New York last month. A solid defender. New York only 5 points out of playoff spot after that comeback win last night. An amazing win against Ottawa. You know, we have seen New York in recent weeks beat Montreal. That, again, is a team that is surging at the right time. They're playing desperate, and those are always scary teams to play.
Well, that's the thing. A win like they had the other night is as impressive as the win itself, and that can just really boost the team's confidence.
Jakes bodies in front of Chuli. Never got through to the target. Keppel went down in a heap. Now the puck bounces up on the dasher board. Keppel will dig it free and work it back for Montreal. Here's Mariah Keppel now on the near wing side. Hammered off the play there by Sophie Jakes. No whistle. And the Minnesota crowd loves it. Again, it's not a checking league. I think, you know, but there is a style of play that is different from the college game, which, you know, we saw an adjustment period last year for the league, for sure. It's been more physical this year, and players are just kind of rolling with it.
Yeah, there's definitely a line there, right? There's a correct and legal way to do it in this league, and an incorrect and illegal way to do it. And for these players who grew up not checking, they're all trying to learn how to do it here at the pro level.
Seen fewer penalties called in that way than we did a season ago when it comes to the illegal checks and such. Grant Mentis Outlet pass for Boreen. Abby Boreen pulls up, waits for reinforcements. Flips it out to Wilgren. Wilgren lost it. Just kind of jumped her stick. Minnesota tries to take it away. Just over 4 minutes to go here in the second. 12-8 shots in favor of Minnesota, but the Frost down on the scoreboard by a goal. Here's Sheppers. Lugs it out. Now Batherson will wait and just dump it in as Minnesota makes a line change. Montreal trying to hurry and catch him on it.
Well, both the goals in this period came early on in the period. It's mellowed out a little bit since then.
Here's O'Neill with some room. O'Neill a shot. Rebound. They score. Catherine Dubois, the Quebecer, with a rebound goal. And that one's a huge one for Montreal. And it's going to be no goal. So it's overturned as we'll take another look. That's a big break for Minnesota here to keep this a one-goal deficit.
Yeah, and even you can kind of see Rooney's head snap back. So I think this is the right call here. Because sometimes those called-off goals can really spark a team to find a way to turn the momentum around.
And now a player goes down, Britta Curl. And this is going to be a Montreal penalty. Interference here against the Victoire. Wilgren taking a penalty here just before this commercial break. Minnesota power play when we come back.
If Minnesota can find a way to get a power play goal here, better look out.
Another Royale Tiger Towel power play. Power through the tough messes. Ray Zumwinkle scored on the power play against New York and Detroit. You know, the team was on an 0 for 10 drought before that marker, so we'll see what Minnesota can do on their first chance tonight.
Well, and that's the only power play goal Minnesota has in their last 3 games, so that's the good news for Montreal is they're going up against a power play who hasn't had all that much success as of late.
Montreal's penalty kill has been exceptional this year. Really has been all year. This is Steckline. Taking her time. Will hand off. Gets it back now to Taylor Heisey. Heisey moving in for a closer look. Good pass. Oh, that shot goes wide. Down low. That was Kava. There's Heisey again. Good shot again, but it missed the target.
Man, she just found some open space there in the slot. They let her walk right in and rip a shot off.
Well, you can hear it whistle right up here. Now here's Kava. Thompson kept it low, broken up. Played to the blue line and out of the zone. Minnesota will have to tag up. 40 seconds to go here in the power play for the Frost. Their first advantage of the game.
Yeah, they'll get their second power play unit out on the ice here. Good pressure in that first minute, but they need to get more pucks to the net.
Jakes. Zumwinkle for Jakes. Another wrister. Saved by Chuli. Petrie there for the rebound. Has to take it in behind. 15 seconds to go. Jakes. Now for Kelly Panic. Already a goal tonight. Tried to feed a pass down low. It was broken up. Poke checked off her stick. Minnesota keeps it down deep. Winding and firing as Jakes. That was broken up by Tabin, and Montreal's able to clear. What a kill for the Montreal Victoire.
Yeah, really critical kill there to maintain the lead. Minnesota, good pressure, but just really didn't get any pucks to the net.
Minnesota's still dangerous. Sheppers can't handle it. No shots officially on that advantage for Minnesota.
Critical kill for Montreal. Job well done there on the kill on the road.
So each team 0 for 1 on the power play. Now Montreal back to full strength.
1 minute left in the period.
Just a minute to go here in period 2. This game a long way from being decided. A tight checking game. Sheppers. Cross angle dump. But Minnesota can't hold the zone. 35 seconds to go in the second period. Loose at the blue line. Montreal will control as Mariah Keppel will get it ahead for Youngblood. She feeds it back for Boulier and then has to go back in deep behind her own cage. 20 seconds to go. Here's Sophie Jakes. She picks it off. Moves in. Jakes, her shot hit a boot. Clear to the corner. That's Curl again. 5 seconds to go in the period. Curl can't keep it in. And that's going to do it. 40 minutes in the books. The Victoire 2, Minnesota 1. Stacy a goal for the Victoire, and Kelly Panic finally getting her first goal in several weeks. The lone goal for Minnesota tonight. Off the draw, controlled by Poulin for the Victoire. And again, Montreal could have easily had a 3-1 lead. But a goal by Catherine Dubois was waved off for goaltender interference late in that second period. And we think that was very much the right call. And it has kept Minnesota in this game.
Yeah, that was a huge break for Minnesota. That the goaltender interference wiped that off the board. And it's going to be another game where maybe they only get a couple. Still looking for that second goal of the game. They have not led in this game at all. They'll look to change that here in the third period.
Lead pass, and that's going to be an offside. Last matchup was the 2-1 shootout win March the 4th. Through a screen. There's Dubois again.
Most of these games have been pretty tightly contested.
That hit Willoughby. Caitlin Willoughby, the new Victoire player who was traded from Toronto. Here's Ambrose now from just inside the blue line. Her rocket knocked down by Thompson. And hit Thompson right in the back. I don't know that she saw it, but she was in the right spot to keep that from going on net. Ambrose swings it across. Knocked to the Minnesota line. Now here comes Grant Mentis through the defense, but it's picked up nicely on the back check by Minnesota. Leading the way there, Sophie Jakes. Goes rink wide to Heisey. Drops it back for Coyne. Coyne Schofield gets it on, but it's sealed off between the pads. And now pushing and shoving out in front of Julie. Curl taking a shove from behind. Play-mapping Alexis Pearson. Kevin Gord from St. Paul tonight. Out in front. There is Curl again. Misfired on a shot for close range. And now Montreal coming back. Boy, Curl point blank. And it hopped her stick. Here's Murphy. That's ramped up off a blade and up and out of play.
Couple minutes gone by here in the third period. Feels like Minnesota needs a quick one here, Clay, just to get some confidence and to not have to work as hard as the game goes on, still trying to battle from behind. We'll see if they can accomplish that here in the opening minutes here of this third period.
And for Montreal, trying to keep control of this hockey game. They've had it for some stretches of it for sure. They have 4 games left after tonight. Host New York on April Fool's Day, as we talked about before. And then they will be done with the World Championships. Who's in the corner? Panic. Swings it in behind her own net. Now turned over out in front. A drive. Rooney the save. And the rebound cleared by Minnesota to the line and out.
Another good challenge by Rooney, coming way out to stop that puck. And then Minnesota does the rest, clearing it out of the zone.
You know, the Victoire don't have a ton of shots here tonight. Officially 10 for Montreal. First year in the PWHL. She is going to be on Team USA at the World Championships. Flutters down into the corner. Minnesota trying to get it up and out of the zone, but they can't. Maureen holds it in and swings it around to the far wing side. Taven back for Grant Mentis, a drive, and Rooney saw it through the traffic. She'll glove it with 16:22 to go. Grant Mentis came to Montreal via trade a year ago, almost a year ago to the day. He's been good this year. 8 points on the season. A drive from Heisey. That's knocked down by Grant Mentis, and that hobbled her. She is limping. Michaela Grant Mentis took that blast from Heisey directly to the lower leg.
And picked her left leg up off the ice as she skated the rest of the way to the bench there. That blast from Heisey, and Grant Mentis wasn't that far away from it, so she took that one straight on. And hopefully she'll be able to shake that one off and get back out there today.
Youngbloom feeds it across. Ambrose will bounce it in off the sidewall. Now Rooney will play it to Thompson. Coming up on the 5-minute mark of the third period. Here's Britta Curl again with some speed on her backhand, and poked away by Keppel. Nice job by Mariah Keppel, holding her ground against Curl. Here's Shisheva. Denisa Shisheva got nicked up earlier in this game. She's been fine, though, since midway through the first period. Another shot tipped out in front. That goes wide of the cage. Petrie got a blade on it. She's got it back high in the slot. Got it down low to Curl.
Was looking to get her stick on that one there. Truly stands tall.
Bookbinder's shot goes wide for Minnesota. Montreal gets it back to center ice. Pumped back in by the Frost. Grace Zumwinkle jumps on it. Feeds it back in behind the Montreal net, but turned over to Kayla Barnes. Barnes has had a really good game here tonight. Now it slides back to center. Here's McQuigg. Brooke McQuigg for Minnesota trying to feed the middle. Kelly Panic kind of rubbed out of the play there. Jen Gardner gets the loose puck. She gets hammered up against the wall by Kelly Panic. A couple of number 12s doing battle there along the boards. And now Barnes with it again for Montreal. Laura Stacey will lug it through center. Stacey, the last Montreal goal, and the difference in this game right now, her 9th of the year. Two-on-two, Minnesota coming in. Attacking, and that was Jakes who sent it right out in front of Chuli. Didn't get much on it. It was a little off target. Now Willoughby, Caitlin Willoughby a drive. Sticked away by Rooney. Montreal holds the zone. Flipped into the corner. Willoughby being shadowed there by Thompson. Played to the line, not out for Minnesota. Down low, Willoughby. And that was Dubois who tried to get it out in front for a teammate. Nobody there. Now back comes Minnesota. This is Curl again. Her shot misfired. Standing her ground, Boulier. Channel holds it in for the Frost. That ricochets off a body into the corner. And Montreal will play it back to center ice. 7 minutes gone by in the third. Who do you feel has the momentum right now, AP?
Well, there's a good pace in this third period, and sometimes in a one-goal game in the third period, everything tightens up. It doesn't feel that way. Everything feels really open right now. It feels like it's leaning Minnesota's way, but they need to find a chance here that they can put in the back of the net.
Here's the captain, Coyne Schofield. The Steckline, her drive broken up. Kendall Coyne, Minnesota's leader in goals and points. Just 5 players in the league with 20-plus points. And when Minnesota generally needs a spark, she tends to give it. Here comes Heisey. Drops it back for Kava. He's in her skates. Trying to kick it to her stick. Held in by Bookbinder at the line. Now here's some room for Lee Steckline. A drive tipped right on. What a save by Julie. Sprawling across the crease to seal that off. Elaine Chuli has been really good tonight.
Yeah, looking for her first point in the last 3 games. Chuli slams the door closed, and that's a big, big save in a 1-goal game here in the third period.
Kayla Kava out of Thunder Bay, Ontario. Denied her 10th marker of the season. Puck locked up in the corner. Montreal gets it free. Shot, save, rebound. They score. Boy, this Montreal team just relentless.
Her 4th goal of the season against this Minnesota Frost team. Stacey starts the chaos by just feeding that one towards the net. And Rooney trying to make the save here, ends up on her stomach. And Marie-Philippe Glenn bangs that one home, top shelf. Whole lot of net to look at with Rooney Lane on the ice, and a player like that is not going to miss that shot. And Minnesota has their work cut out for them here. The final 11 and a half minutes of this game.
I mean, she never takes a day off.
No.
Marie now 2 goals in this hockey game. It comes at 8:16 of the third. 17th of the year, 2nd of the night. She scored their only goal Sunday in the loss to Toronto.
Montreal goal scored by number 29, Marie.
And she is going to go into the World Championships ready to lead Team Canada to another gold medal.
And it's especially an important goal against a team like Minnesota, who's had trouble scoring more than 2 goals in a game. At least in the last month here, they've only done that once, and now they're going to need to find 4 if they want to win this one. With not a lot of time left to do it.
Minnesota will host Toronto on Sunday, their last game until April. It's going to be tough to overcome with those final 3 games more than 3 weeks away.
Yeah, it's a different thought process. It's going to be a fight for the rest of the season for this Frost team.
What a night it's been for Stacey. A goal and 2 assists as she has given the assist on that second Poulin goal. Here comes Himmerlova for Minnesota. Feeds the middle. Heisey patient. Her shot knocked down. Got it back. Feeds to the point for Watkins. Channel Watkins. On Batherson, a drive goes wide of that far post. Minnesota desperately needs the next one now.
And if I'm Minnesota, I think you got to start playing a little angry, Clay.
Heisey, good move to get around Wilgren. Feeds it across for Coyne Schofield. And her shot goes wide of the near side. Steckline to Kava. Kava drops it back. That shot from Coyne Schofield is high, over the top of the net. And that's going to come all the way back to the Minnesota end. Oh, good feed out in front. Grant Mentis had her stick lifted up, though, as she was attacking. And it rolls in on Rooney. Well, Montreal with a big goal from Captain Clutch. Her second of the game to give Montreal a 2-goal cushion.
PWHL fans are so creative with their signage. It's one of my favorite parts of coming to the games. And at this point in the season, only a few home games left for each team. So if you haven't made it out to a game yet, now's your chance. Or you can save that opportunity for a playoff game. What this takeover tour has done has been so fun to watch and so incredible for this league. And I know there's a lot of fans in other cities hoping that the league brings a team to their city someday soon.
It's going to be interesting to see when and where this league expands. You know it's coming. Under 9 minutes to go, Montreal has a 2-goal lead. I call it the most dangerous lead in hockey, but Elaine Chuli has been equal to the task tonight. And of course, that great top line leading the way. Here's Boreen now trying to add to the lead, and she's stymied by Rooney.
That caught the Frost defender flat-footed and just blew past that coverage, trying to put this one out of reach for Minnesota.
And Boulier comes in, taken out of the play by Thompson, then got it back. She'll cycle it back down. Dalton overskated it. And now Sophie Jakes will lead it back for the Minnesota Frost. Coming up on the 12-minute mark of the period. Player goes down. Minnesota fans want a penalty as Heisey is picking herself up off the ice sheet. Just the 2 penalties tonight. One by Brooke McQuigg back in the first period. Anna Wilgren took an interference call in the second. Neither team scored on the power play. Pretty penalty-free game here in St. Paul tonight.
And for at least 2 periods, it was pretty even as far as physicality goes. It seems like Montreal's got the nod in that category here in the third. They've been throwing the body around and really making life tough for the Minnesota Frost to try to generate anything.
Kelly panicked, stood up. Wilgren takes it away. Wilgren got it out. Back to the Minnesota line. Now Thompson steps in. Waits for help. Fires a shot. Kicked out of there by Julie. Another chance for Minnesota. Save. Rebound. And trying to score out in front again is McQuigg. Trying to keep that tear out in front of the net alive. But she's denied. And now we're going to get a penalty.
Minnesota, minor penalty, interference.
The look on Coach Klee's face says it all, and McQuigg, no resistance heading to the box. She knows this one is clear as day, and just trying to slow down a speedy Marie-Philippe Poulin. I don't blame her, but you can't do it that way. You're going to have to try to match her speed or keep the physicality within the legal realms. And she's just a little too physical there, throws Poulin down, and again, that's why Poulin is so dangerous. She's got a great shot, she's a good offensive player, but she also forces you to play that kind of game that you don't want to play because she can beat you in so many facets. And Brooke McQuigg will have to sit in the box here as Minnesota faces a big penalty kill here.
Another Royale Tiger Towel power play, third of the game, second for Montreal. And a bit of a rookie mistake there by McQuigg at crunch time. But when, like you said, you're going up against the veteran, you maybe feel like you're desperate in that situation.
And maybe in that sense, it's not the worst penalty to take, because had Poulin had a clean break to the net there, Clay, she would have gotten a good look, if not a goal. So you're wagering there that you'll take your chance on the penalty kill rather than give her a clean look.
Philippe Poulin, the near wing side. Across, Ambrose. There's Poulin again, top of the circle, plays across, one-timer broken up by Himralova on that shot by Barnes. It's played up out of play. It really could hurt him if Montreal can add another one.
2 minutes delay.
Oh, now another one on the delay of game call against Minnesota.
Yeah, Shusheva threw it out of play, and she knew immediately. She threw her head back, and Minnesota just made it a lot more difficult for them to try to come back in this game. And
off the face-off, Barnes. Ambrose back for Barnes. Down to the end line for Stacy. Barnes plays a pass for Ambrose. Now to the dot. One-timer. They score. Wow, what a game for Laura Stacy. Her second goal, her fourth point tonight. And that is going to be basically all she wrote, as Montreal now takes a commanding 4-1 lead.
While the stars continue to shine for this Montreal Victoire team, they set it up, and then from the circle, Stacy left all alone there as Minnesota's just trying to defend on the penalty kill here. And she fires that one home past Rooney. And the bad news for Minnesota, as if the goal wasn't already bad news enough, it came on the 5-on-3, so they still have to kill the rest of this other penalty.
There are so many players, you know, throughout the league, you hear from time to time from the coaches, you know, I wish they would shoot more. Laura Stacy never has that problem.
Yeah, she's the kind of player that as a coach you'd love to have on your team, because you know whether you're winning, losing, whether she's playing well or not, she's going to continue to generate chances, and she's been rewarded a lot here tonight.
Now 5-on-4 for Montreal for 1 minute and 20 seconds yet. Wilgren blocked. It was Jakes who got in the way. Loose puck. Tabin takes over. Hands off down low in the circle. That got on to Rooney, and she's run into.
And now there's just about 4.5 minutes to go in this one, with Montreal leading by 3.
First career 4-point game for Laura Stacy.
Probably won't be the last.
No. Caleb Barnes. Across for Ambrose. That ricochets off of Bookbinder's skate. Ambrose. Back for Caleb Barnes. 30 seconds to go in this power play for Montreal. 4 minutes to go in the game. Marie-Philippe Poulin. For Barnes, there's Poulin. Oh, she had a gaping net on the short side and fanned on that pass from Stacy. She was looking for the hat trick.
That would have been the dagger if the dagger hasn't already happened. She is dangerous in every facet, whether she wants to shoot the puck or try to tip it home in front of the net. Either way.
Shisheva back on the ice. Minnesota finally back to full strength, but now down 3 with 3.5 to go.
Well, let's see what they can do here. This is still plenty of time to try to make something happen, but the hill is definitely steep for the Minnesota Frost, and you got to believe Montreal's playing confident. They've played in 3 straight one-goal games, Clay, and finally have some separation here with a chance to clinch a playoff spot.
Biggest fans of Montreal right now, other than their own, are the Sirens and the Ottawa Charge, rooting against Minnesota. As Minnesota occupies that 4th spot in the playoff picture right now. They're not going to have to wish much longer, it doesn't look like. Under 3 minutes to go. Youngbloom brings it in, taken off her stick. Minnesota turns it over in the Minnesota zone. Now Youngbloom is stapled up against the wall. Boy, Montreal just not letting up, keeping the pressure on here. Minnesota not able to break out of their own end. Another drive, knocked down, tipped out of the zone there by Curl. And Minnesota will finally be able to get some fresh skates on the ice. They look gassed right now, Alexis.
Yeah, well, and sometimes you'll see teams in this situation where Montreal is, where they do let up, right? They've got that comfortable lead. It's late in the game, and you just kind of take it easy. And like you said, Montreal continuing to push, continuing to cycle, which is forcing Minnesota to continue to defend and wearing them down here late in this 3rd period.
Pass down low. That was Shepard's on the doorstep, knocked away from her. She had to chase it down in the corner. 90 seconds to go in the hockey game in Minnesota tonight. Here's Steckline in the circle. Takes it into the corner. Minnesota has to hurry here. Down 3, time running out.
And it looks like they're going to leave Rooney in between the pipes, so they're going to ride this out 5-on-5. Montreal content just to tie this up in the corner. Try to kill some more of this clock.
Yeah, just valuable time taken away for the purple team.
1 minute left in the period. 1 minute.
1 minute to go. Montreal ready to move back into sole possession of first place and lock up the first playoff berth of the 2025 Walter Cup playoff chase. Heisey comes in for Minnesota, feeds it across. McQuigg pulls up, looking for help. Zumwinkle comes in to support the puck. 30 seconds to go. Boy, Elaine Chuli, I think this game turned on that save earlier here in the period when Minnesota could have tied it up at 2. But just a terrific save to Rob Cava. And it kind of took the air out of Minnesota at the time. And then shortly after that, Poulin scored again. And now it's getting physical. Some attitude down there. Chippiness with 11 seconds to go. Laura Stacey, an assist on the Poulin goal. And then a goal of her own, her second of the night here in the 3rd. A 4-point night for Laura. And she is going to lead Montreal to a victory on the road tonight. Minnesota back home for the first time in 36 days, but even the home cooking can't help Minnesota get out of this funk that they're in. The defending Walter Cup champs take another loss, and Montreal is in the playoffs.